everyone, I'm Jonathan Shaw, founder of Decoding Pain, and in this video I'm going to share with you how to know if you have a good diagnosis. So how do you know if your diagnosis is correct? Because you're not a therapist and you're not a doctor, so how would you know if it's correct? So this is a little tip to discover how to know if it's correct. Now, one of the main philosophies with Decoding Pain is to recognize that no matter what pain you have, you shouldn't be in pain. If you weren't brought into this world in pain, then you shouldn't be in pain now. So I don't care what kind of musculoskeletal pain it is, whether it's a pulled tendon, whether it's a slipped disc, whether it's a frozen shoulder, whether it's sciatica, whether it's arthritis or an autoimmune problem, whether it's a chronic injury that's not healing. It doesn't matter what it is. If you weren't brought into this world with it, you definitely shouldn't have it. And so based on that theory, we need to look at the diagnosis in a very specific way, because a lot of diagnoses are actually leave you stuck with the problem and like you're broken and damaged. So if you get a diagnosis that leaves you in a fear, suffering, or a victim mentality, it is the wrong diagnosis. So what do I mean by that? Well, if we look at the principle is that you shouldn't be in pain if you weren't brought into this world in pain. Any diagnosis that leaves you in fear, for instance, that leaves you frightened about your health and your well-being when it comes to chronic pain is wrong. So look at the diagnosis you had. If you're frightened by it, it's incorrect. It's not a correct diagnosis. You need to find someone else to help you solve your pain. If it is a victim mentality, and what I mean by that is you can't solve it. So often that's the case when you get diagnosed with arthritis or you get told it's your age. If you are told that and it leaves you feeling a victim, like there's nothing you can do, like you can't change it, that is also wrong. It is incorrect. You should not be in pain. If you were not brought into this world in pain, there is no reason to have pain. That is a bad diagnosis. Do not listen to it. Find another practitioner, another therapist, get a different opinion. And finally, if it leaves you suffering. So if the diagnosis has just left you suffering like there's nothing you can do, you have to live with it, again, that is incorrect. That's a bad diagnosis. You should not be listening to that. Find another practitioner, another therapist, and find someone who can help you get out of pain. Any of those three things, if any of your diagnosis covers any of those three things, it is a bad diagnosis and you need to find somebody else. I will give you an example from a client of mine, well, multiple clients of mine. One of my clients came to me and her son, she brought her son to me, she'd been to me before, but her son was suffering with foot pain whenever he walked around places. And sometimes it'd go from one foot to the other and back again. And he'd been to 3 different people, doctors, and they diagnosed him 3 different ways. One had said it was his age, another one said it was a condition, and so on and so forth. They all had a different diagnosis. But they all left him with a suffering and victim mentality. The diagnosis that said it was age, he couldn't do anything about it till he grew up, which is ridiculous. That's never helpful. The second one was like it was an illness, so he still couldn't do anything about it. And the final one told him something completely random and just said live with it. And that's a suffering mentality. When he came to me, I looked at him and all it was is that his calf muscles were really tight because he played football and he ran, but he wasn't stretching. So when he was at rest, when he wasn't running and playing football, his feet were hurting him because the calf muscles were cutting off circulation and blood flow. They were just too tight. As soon as I got him to stretch those out, his feet stopped hurting and he went back to normal again. That's just one example of how a poor diagnosis can lead to suffering and being in pain. So if you have a diagnosis and you're suffering in pain, then look at that checklist. I'll tell it again. If it left you in fear or suffering or a victim, then it's not a good diagnosis and you need to find somebody else who can find out what's actually going on, what is actually happening in your body. Because what you need is someone who can diagnose the root cause of the problem and not just your symptoms. You need someone who can address the root cause and not just the symptoms. And the sad case is, the sad fact of the matter is that most doctors, they only deal with the symptoms. They never deal with the root cause. ever. Now, if you're not sure what the root cause of pain is, you can check out my videos, or the 3 videos on the number 1, number 2, and the 3rd cause of pain. And they are somewhere on YouTube, and you check them out, or on my website. But you must always deal with the root cause. If you don't, you're going to suffer and be stuck in pain for a really long time. And I don't want that, because decoding pain is all about helping you get out of pain. Decoding pain is all about giving you hope and realizing you can be free of your pain once and for all. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions, you can email me at jonathan@decodingpain.com. But remember, I'll say it again one more time because it's so important. If your diagnosis left you with a fear, suffering, or victim mentality, it's a bad diagnosis. Do not listen to it. Go and find someone else. And if you're not sure, contact me and I'll see if I can help you out with what might be going on, and we can address it and see what's actually going on in your body. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, keep smiling, and I will see you on another video.